Welcome to DMM Downloads. We are podcasting another conversation about DMM between Jeff Crabtree and me, Rudy Rivera. Jeff and I are teamed together in Northern Colorado in a ministry we call DMM NOCO. DMM NOCO is unleashing disciple-making movements in Northern Colorado, and we thought it a good idea to start a podcast as a way to bring awareness and resourcing to ordinary people who are passionate about making multiplying disciple makers in our natural networks. Thanks for joining us in this journey. We hope you get a DMM download from this conversation. Hey, Jeff.
Rudy.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you, friend?
I'm doing well. Kind of have a bit of a full day, and then you kind of threw a curveball at me about 10 minutes ago. It's going to snow here tomorrow, potentially.
That's crazy because we've been really warm this year.
Yeah.
We're living, if you don't know, if you're a listener, we live in Northern Colorado, Fort Collins. We live in a little suburb called Timnath, but it's been really nice. I think it was yesterday, low 70s, and then tomorrow, mid 30s and snowing. Anyway.
Yeah. And so I coach youth soccer in the area. I've got a plan for this evening and plan for tomorrow. And I'm thinking, oh no, I need to go home and think of something.
Spring
So anyways,
snowstorm in Colorado.
Yeah, exactly. But summer's coming, and Jeff will be really happy.
Yes, anything over 80 would make me happy.
Yes, yeah. And you know what makes me happy? Transition.
Oh,
DMM downloads.
Yeah, there you go.
I love hanging out with you, Jeff, and just
Amen.
talking and putting our hearts together. And here we are again. I don't know what episode. It's 70 something.
I think it's 73, which is hard to imagine that we've been doing this long. And again, for our listeners, we just want to be an encouragement in contemplating how do we gospel in Western culture today. How do we see the gospel make impact into lost spaces? So I think this is 73.
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah. So let's download today. And we wanted, I think, probably at least for now, to close out this little pushback series that we've been doing. Some of the pushback that we hear, that we even feel at times or receive on disciple-making movements. And today's sort of focus for the download is legalism. We hear that word. Oh, disciple-making movements are really about legalism. It's probably tied to the word obey or obedience.
Yeah, obedience.
Yeah, but
because we highlight it, emphasize it. It's a value.
Yes, yeah. So toss it to you. What do you say to that? How can you help us unpack that pushback?
Yeah, how to approach this. First of all, I think some of it comes back to, first of all, receiving Christ. The whole justification, that we're saved by grace through faith. It's not our work. It's not our efforts. It's not our obedience. Yeah. So we just want to say that when it comes to actually a born-again experience, we're not saying that we have anything to do with that. We didn't choose him. He chose us. But I think it gets blended into that. Anything about obedience, sometimes we need to divvy up conversion versus sanctification, if you will, big word, living out the faith.
Yeah.
But then it seems, again, we're going to use our own scriptures to push back to the pushback that DMM so emphasizes, so focuses on obedience-based discipleship that people say it's legalism. So I think I would go right to the heart of the matter. Jesus said, if you love me, he doesn't say know more about me, read your Bible more, go to church, be a part of community, all the things that are good and a part of living out the faith. But he said, if you love me, he said, obey me. I don't know how else you get around that, Rudy. I mean, I understand the criticism, the pushback about legalism, and we can talk about it, and there's tributaries and detours, but ultimately the heart of the matter is if we love Jesus, it's his love language, if we love Jesus, we need to obey. And, what we contrast in DMM versus, maybe Western Christianity. We say Western Christianity is very knowledge-based. Teach, 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 learn, 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 reason, 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 intellect, 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 principle, principle, principle. But in DMM, we're contrasting that to say, all of that's okay, we're not despairing of that, but knowledge puffs up, but love, what's love? Love builds up, it strengthens, it encourages love. What's love? Jesus said, if you love me, you will then practice. You will obey. And I just got to say, from a personal point of view, as a professional clergy into my 48th year or 48th year, I think it is, I still read my Bible every morning, and I have to be honest, for knowledge. See how much information I can plant. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm planting that in my thing. But ultimately, at some point, if I don't apply and obey that, so what? Now that might be a little extreme because God uses that, His Spirit uses that. But ultimately, it's about hearing and obeying. Hearing and obeying. So I'll push it back to you, but that's my pushback to those who say, oh, you're just all about legalism and obedience. And okay, well, how do you unpack? What's your hermeneutical idea of Jesus said, if you love me, you will obey?
Wow. Way to go. Right in.
Yeah, let's go right to the heart of the matter, right?
I like it. Something that you're reminding me of is we were at a conference together a couple of years ago, and it was basically the second time I heard this concept or this idea, both from Africans, back in 2001, first time, and then the second time a couple of years ago. And essentially the idea was, who is more mature in the Lord? Is it the one who knows little and does with what they have? Or is it the one who knows a lot and does, the one who knows little but does a lot with what they have? Or the one who knows a lot but does little with what they have? And I thought, oh, that just rocked me. Both in 2001, I still have the Bible that I wrote the little note in. Like, it's a cherished thought for me. Because it just, even as a coach, I think, we give all this information, but gosh, if you just don't do the thing we're asking you to do, you don't get the result. Yeah, you don't get a result. You're not really a player. You're not really an active member. You're really not I would say maybe follower. Like you're not really growing in the Lord, putting it back into the faith because you might know a lot, but you're not doing anything with it. And we talk about maturation in the Lord, disciple making, discipleship. We want to grow fully formed. We used to say this phrase, fully formed disciples of Jesus. But you can't be fully formed if you're not doing what He's asked you to do. Anyhow, that's what it makes me think of. Do you have any thoughts there?
Well, gosh, there's so many ways we could approach it in a 20-minute time. It's pretty hard to unpack it all, but I would say this. I think part of the battle, too, is a little bit of Jewish thought versus Greek thought.
Yeah.
In that as Greeks in Western culture, we believe we can know and, if you will, not obey.
Yes.
As you know, obviously, Jesus was a Jew. The Bible is written in Jewish thought. And if you know, we all know that in that Jewish thought, you couldn't say you knew if you didn't apply or obey. And so it was cultural for them just to say, hey, they went hand in hand. But somewhere along the line, we, in a Western knowledge-oriented, knowledge-based culture, can say, I know something without obeying it or applying it. And so, the whole thing is to say you know something without applying means you don't know. At least in the sense of real know, not just intellectual, reasoning or alignment with truth or facts. So we're getting to the heart of the issue. And maybe before I pass it back to you, I thought about when we were raising our kids, and again, you can say yes or no to how we raised our kids, but we wanted them to obey our instruction. My wife was very good. She was by nature a teacher, and she did a great job leading and teaching our kids. And this was the statement in our home to, let's see if I can remember it, to delayed obedience is disobedience. Now whether that's legalism or not,
Yes,
the point being is when we were instructing our kids and telling them what we wanted, for them not to do it, just to say, well, I heard you say that, Dad, to hear you say that, Mom, but then for me to do something different than that was considered disobedience. And so we addressed disobedience because it was the heart of what? Pride. I'll do it my way. I can do it my way. I'll do it better. And I think all of us as human beings, whether we're for the West or global South or whatever, there is a pride inside of us, a godship we want to hold, that I'm going to do what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And again, 48 years of ministry, myself included, I've seen how many Christians, how many, quote, followers of Jesus have broken lives. There's strongholds, there's sin, there's impurity, there's marriage problems, there's parental issues, there's prodigal kids. I mean, all the human woes. What's the source of that? Is that somewhere along the line we're not obeying what the Spirit of God or our relationship with Christ. So I'm not blaming everybody else and somehow I'm getting off of it.
Yeah.
I struggle with this as well. But the goal is obedience. When God and God's Word, when God's Spirit, God's Word says to do something, it's not just enough to say we know it. We need to apply it or obey it.
Yeah. And I can tell you as somebody who's, I don't know about you, Jeff, but like, okay, I would craft a sermon. I'd work X amount of hours, craft a sermon, preach a sermon. And I actually usually would build in application steps, quote unquote, AKA obedience steps. You want to apply this to your life. This is what you can do. Here's some 3 easy ways to do it, whatever it is. And sometimes, this is what I found in the churches I was a part of, sometimes the culture of the church, so the local congregation, takes on its own culture, right? Maybe even extra biblical culture, meaning that like these expectations get put on. This is how you ought to live, talk, eat, raise kids, or whatever it could be. And so it becomes like its own obedience culture that may or may not actually be tied directly to the scriptures. That's a strong statement. We can unpack it some other time. Here's where I'm going. I have found in DMM, through Discovery Bible Studies, through the emphasis being on obedience to the scriptures and to the Spirit, that in that community, there's actually more freedom in obedience. This is what I've experienced.
Wow.
Right? So the pushback on it's about legalism, I get it because we use the word obedience, and obedient, nobody likes that as an American. Change the word if you want to, but the heart of it is essentially, what did you hear the Spirit say? And what's one of the questions we ask in DBS? If this is true, can we just agree? Maybe it's true. What did you hear God say? Now you do it. Now, I'm not telling you as the leader of this DBS or DMM, hey, Jeff, you really need to X, Y, and Z. What I'm saying is, Jeff, what did you hear God say to you? And we confirm that together, and then we just go, hey, Jeff, you going to do it?
What are your action steps?
Yes, there's the obedience. It's not me telling you,
That's
which
really
I think does involve legalism, right? That might be legalism. But it's not me telling you. It's actually you hearing from God and then you agreeing with God. And we're just affirming, confirming, supporting that. And then you can report back or tell anybody you want to, hey, I heard from God. we believe God's alive and he speaks, and he spoke to me and he told me to X, Y, and Z. And we just go, hey, Jeff, did you do X, Y, and Z? No, I didn't. I ABC'd. Well, what happened? Like, is that legalism? I don't think so. I think it's confirmation affirming that God speaks, his people can hear, and then you obey. And that's between you and the Lord. Now, if you come back and say, I don't want to obey, again, that's between you and the Lord, but we could help each other and say, well, why not? Like,
Right.
and I don't know. To me, that's my pushback on legalism. I've actually found DMM to be more freeing from legalism than even some of the churches that I've led, where people say, oh, you just want me to be like you. And I'm like, yeah, in my flesh, I probably do. But in the spirit, actually, I want you to obey God.
Sure.
That's what I don't want you to obey me. Obey God. I don't know. You want to close this out here as we kind of get...
Well, I think you make a great point, is that oftentimes when we think of legalism, it's somebody telling another person, this is what you need to do to, again, be a Christian, or be a part of our group, or be a part of our church, or be a part of our fellowship. So you make a great distinction. We're not talking about a man telling you what to obey, is that you're discovering what God's asking you to obey, and then out of a love relationship, and you know the result of obedience is you reap what you sow, that there's a positivity. So I thought that was a great distinction, that in legalism, it's usually a man telling you what to do, even if it's from the scriptures, where we're inviting people just to hear what the word says for themselves, what the Spirit of the Lord is saying to them, and then they get to align. So I really have a hard time with the pushback on, well, it's legalism. One is maybe they don't fully understand where we're coming from without asking us questions. Or I think many times it can be deflective, that they don't really want to lean in. And so it's a good way to say, well, you guys are all about legalism.
Yeah.
And, I really have a hard time with that.
Yeah, and I find it to be a bit of a reaction just to the word, like obedience, North Americans, leave me alone. Nobody wants to be told what to do. And I think that's generally in the culture. But maybe as we're closing out here, this little mini series even, do you have any kind of final thoughts on the ideas of pushback to DMM?
There's always going to be pushback. And again, we've mentioned this before. Change is hard. It takes time. So we're not simply saying it's a light switch and you push the light switch and you're changed. But we do think that if you have some pushback, that's fine. I did. Maybe still do. But instead of just standing behind that and pointing a finger and criticizing or judging, I need to step in, ask some more questions, learn a little bit more. And so we welcome the pushback, but we welcome it in the sense of not as deflective, but more as conversation that we can have together.
Yeah, well said. Thanks for this mini-series, Jeff. Thanks, Jeff, for that engaging download. In DMM, we like to say that disciples are learners. I know I'm learning a lot from my conversations with you, Jeff. From all of us in DMM NOCO, we hope you got a DMM download from the conversation today. Don't forget to leave this podcast a review wherever you are listening online. If you found this conversation helpful, please head over to our site, dmmnoco.com, where you can find more content for your DMM journey, including a self-paced Habits of a Multiplying Disciple course. The course is designed to give you practical next steps to becoming a DMM practitioner and multiplying disciple maker. You can take that course for free at dmmnoco.com. We will be back next week with another engaging DMM download episode. Until then, may you hear from God through His Spirit and take simple steps of obedience in what you hear.